So just before Christmas, a couple of things happened. We sort of extended the family a little bit with two little ferrets. This is Teddy Bear, and his sister. Well, she's asleep at the moment, so we're leaving her over in her hidey hole. But on top of that, I also handmade all of my Christmas presents this year, and the ones specifically for the kiddos, my nibblings, I made them out of Carpe Premier Chunky yarn. And because I generally try and buy like a little bit more yarn for a project than I think I'll need, I've ended up with quite a bit left over. And one thing that I'm really trying to stay on top of this year is keeping my yarn stash in check. And a big part of that is not letting the yarns that I use rarely or infrequently accumulate and build up. And this crap falls into that category. So one of the first things I want to do in 2026 is get this stash in particular just right back down. And what better way to do that than making some cute little accessories for my new fur friends here. Hey, do you want some more accessories? I mean, we have bought a couple of things, but why are small animal accessories and toys so bloody expensive? I mean, because that's the case, we bought a couple of things, but we ended up making like tunnels and hammocks and stuff. I just sewed a few. I mean, it's not a big deal to like slap a couple of bits of fabric together. But yeah, they're ridiculously expensive. So yeah, crochet to the rescue. But I also have another confession to make. Maybe confession is not the right way to frame it, because it almost implies that I feel guilty or shame about it, which I don't. But we also have, in addition to the ferrets, yet another new family member, which she's not in here with us at the moment. I'll put a picture up so you can see her in all her cuteness. But yeah, this is Andi. My dad found her under my nana's house over the Christmas break. Just poor, she was filthy and feral and flea-ridden and skinny, the poor little things. So over the course of this video, I'm probably going to be making a couple of things for her as well. What do you think, Teddy? You're going to sleep, aren't you? You're going to sleep, Teddy Bear. All right, I can't be distracted by the animals all day. So what I want to do is probably first decide what exactly it is I want to crochet. Like, I have some ideas, but I think we really need to nail it down. And I've got so many colors. I've pulled out, there's like this that was left over from the Yarnivore I made for my niece. There's some gray left over from the Butchie Boys, or the Roly Polies I crocheted for my younger niece. I've got this, which is from years ago. I don't even remember what this particular purple was from. There's black, there's a bit of white, there's some browns, there's some reds. I've just got bits and pieces left over and I want it gone. But what I'm thinking of using up first is this, to be honest, in my opinion, kind of ugly brown color. I purchased this because I was going to use it for the ferrets that I crocheted for my younger nephew. And when I was like browsing online, the color seemed like it would be a good match. But when I saw it in person, I was a bit like, nah. It's a brown, but it's got like almost a green undertone to it. And I personally think it just looks a little bit ugly. So I didn't want to. That was just my crutches falling over. But yeah, I didn't want to use it in the ferrets just because I didn't think it was a good enough match. So I have 2 full skeins of that to use up. And I'm thinking, because I have the most of that, I may attempt to make the largest project that I want to make from that. And all that's going to be is basically like a cube hidey hole. If I can find a picture of what I'm talking about, I will pop that up in the editing. Nothing I do here today is going to be like overly complex or detailed. I'm just kind of putting shapes together, but I'm hoping that they will be shapes that our little friends here will get some use out of. So yeah, let's get started on that. Are you going to go back in your hidey hole or on your bed? Or do I have to keep cuddling you? I can't keep cuddling you. I have stuff to do. I've got stuff to do, Teddy Bear. Oh, you're such a sleepy boy. Such a sleepy boy. So for this like little hammock hidey hole thing that I'm going to make, or it's like an enclosed hammock, I'm basically just going to make myself a square. Like I'm going to work that in the round, but then I'm going to, like when I reach, I don't know, whatever size that I'm happy with, I'm going to then extend that out with just rounds of single crochet, and then I'm going to close the end in slowly, but leave a significant hole so the ferrets or perhaps the kitten can get in and out. So yeah, just it's really basic stuff. But hey, keeping it basic every once in a while never hurt anybody. What does hurt people, on the other hand, is when you can't get a decent center pull. Bloody hell. We need to start a petition that just all yarns, they must come with just like a little tag, a little bit of yarn sticking out, just to give us all a nice center pull and prevent this. That's definitely the biggest problem that we've got in the world right now, isn't it? I could have crocheted the entire project in the time that it's taken me to untangle this. Teddy bear, I can't pick you up at the moment. I'm trying not to lose my patience with the yarn. That's taken all my focus. Bloody finally. Okay, I feel like I wasted half the day distangling yarn, but we finally got there in the end. Oh, I can actually start the project now. I have made my way around to the corner working in the back loop only. So what I'm going to do is sort of at the top of the piece here. So I might actually do one more single crochet there, but I'm going to add in a chain. So if I single crochet and then chain, let's go 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Will that be too much? But then I want to bring that chain back down to the stitch I just worked into. Nah, 8's fine, 8's fine. And I'm going to slip stitch in there again because I want the option to be able to hang this hammock hidey hole thing up in their cage, and just adding those in now will allow me to do that a lot easier. So I'm going to add one there, and then I'm going to add one on the opposite side here. And once I've added all the depth that I want, I'm going to add 2 more like on the opposite end as well. Well, that is the full 2 skeins of the ugly brown that I've managed to use. And the piece is not quite as like deep as I want it to be. So I'm going to bring in the substitutes. We got this guy here and this one here. I don't know if I'm going to need the second one, but I think it's handy to have. I need to get down a little bit more so I'm in frame. I think it's handy to have anyway, because I don't know how far this is going to get me. Ferrets, can we please be quiet for just 5 minutes? Then you can start playing again. So yeah, if this doesn't get us across the finish line, I'll just bring in a little bit of that. No big deal. I mean, these things, they're not going to be pretty. They are just a bunch of scrap yarn slapped together. So yeah, I'm not going for aesthetics here. And number 1, or project number 1, finished. It's a little bit of a mess, you know, color scheme wise. In fact, it kind of gives me like coffee vibes. Maybe I should call this like the latte hammock. Latte might not even be the right word. I'm not really well versed in coffee drinks, not being a coffee drinker myself. I'm definitely a tea drinker, not really a coffee fan, except for the occasional iced coffee. I do like that. But that has absolutely nothing to do with what I'm crocheting here today, so I'm going to move on. So yeah, there's the first hammock. So we've got the opening here, and other than that, it's basically a box, isn't it? But hopefully once I hang it up, it'll be able to retain its shape a little bit more. I mean, just having it like that is a little bit floppy. If I had the materials, I might have made it some walls out of foam or something. But unfortunately, I don't have... I think I've got a bit of foam, but I don't think I have enough foam for a project like that. So it's just gonna have to flop all over the place until I hang it up. While I go ahead and weave this end in, I do want to talk about what projects I want to make next, and they are going to be a version of like hammocks as well, but the flat variety. There's a couple of different ones I would like to attempt to make. One is probably just going to be a straight up square of, you know, crocheted yarn, just basically a big swatch, and I'm going to put some little loops in each of the four corners so I can hang it up like that. But the others that I want to make, or at least two I have ideas for, to take that basic premise of just a square and then build upon it. So the first one would be to create a square and then create a rectangle to match that width. So I would have the square on top, and then I want the rectangle to sort of drape underneath. So it's kind of like a two-tiered hammock. You got a hammock on the top, but also a little hammock section underneath as well. And then the next one I want to make is to take, again, that square, but make two smaller rectangles that are sort of just over half the length of the square, overlap them on top of the original square to create like a little pillowcase kind of thing, so that the ferrets can like snuggle into that. And who knows, there could even be more hammock designs that I want to create after that. But I think those two or three are going to be enough for me to like dig my claws into at the moment. And also, of course, it depends on how much yarn I have left to work with. So there we go. I finished weaving in the end. That's what we've got so far. So I'm going to chuck you... Where can I chuck you? I am running very low on space at the moment. You know what? I'll just stack you very carefully on top of that. For my first hammock, which I think is going to be the two-tiered one I was talking about, the square and the drapey triangle underneath, I'm thinking I might use up the grey. If I can detangle it from everything else. There we go, the grey and like the black. That's just a nice neutral color combination, I think. Because I've been like loving the corner to corner crochet so much lately, I think I'm going to crochet this particular hammock using that technique. So I will crochet a square with the grey, or actually maybe I'm better off doing the black, the square black, because I've got slightly more grey, because the plan with the draping part is to create a rectangle for which I am going to need more yarn. You know what? I mean, these are supposed to be just like nice, easy, scrap busting projects. If I have to bring in a third color to create the rectangle, I will bring in a third color to create the rectangle. I mean, I don't think it's going to matter. In fact, it might better fit the scrappy theme I'm going for. All right, so do we start with black, grey? I might crochet the square in black, because I think pairing the grey with another color underneath... I don't actually know where I was going with that sentence. Let's just move on, Lee. Just move on. Start crocheting the square. I'm actually going to abort the corner to corner crochet plan, because using the chunky yarn as well as the 7mm hook, it creates like fairly pronounced spaces between all my squares. And my concern is that if the ferrets go on this, they're going to get their little legs stuck in those, especially Tilly, who's really small. I don't want them injuring themselves, obviously. So I am going to frog this, and I think I'm just going to stick to the regular single crochet, half double crochet, maybe even double crochet. But yeah, I think it's just a bit too risky to do the corner to corner, which is disappointing because I like doing the corner to corner crochet. But it's, as I said, it's definitely not worth, you know, little ferrets hurting themselves. So instead I am going to switch it up to slip knot. We're just going to chain to however wide I want this square to be. 5, that's 25. No, a little bit wider than that. Maybe we'll go up to 30. I mean, 30 is decent, I suppose. No, I want it a bit bigger. So that should be 40. Yeah, I think that's a better size. So I'll go 40 chains, and I want to add 2 because I might use half double crochet for this piece. And while I remember it, I am going to write down that I did 40 chains because there's every chance that I'm going to forget that. So 40 chains, and yeah, I'm just going to half double crochet back and forth for this one with the drapey bit that I want going underneath. I might even use double crochet for that just to make like the length work up a bit quicker. Editingly, just jumping in real quick here. So for reasons unknown to me, my audio just straight up didn't record for this section. While I can't remember verbatim what I was saying, I was basically just saying, look, here's my awesome black square that I crocheted, and then proceeding to like explain what colors I was going to use next and how I was going to use them. If I mentioned anything else, I certainly don't remember it. Okay, I think I did 15 rounds there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15. Okay, 15 rows. Now I think I'm going to do the cream for somewhere between 3 and 5. I'm not sure, but I want to have enough of this to do the same amount of rows on the cream, like on the other side, so my pieces will mirror each other. That's 3 rounds. This is how much yarn I've got left. I still don't know if 5 is going to be too many and then leave me ferrets. I still don't know if 5 is going to be like too many and then I won't have enough yarn for the opposite side. But like maybe I should just go for it, do 5 here, and if I end up with 4 or, you know, 3 even on the other side. Okay, that is row 5 of the cream. I'm going to stop there and, you know, fingers crossed I have enough to do the next lot. But now I'm going to bring in the blue, and I plan to just have like one center stripe of blue here, and that is going to be as thick as however many rows this crochets. So I don't have a particular number of rows in mind for this one. It'll just be what it'll be. Boom, done. It kind of gives me almost like nautical vibes, but it kind of like the sad beige neutral end of nautical vibes. But I don't think the ferrets are going to have an opinion on that. So let's get rid of that. let's get you up. And now all I need to do is, that's all right. I thought the black yarn was hiding from me there for a moment, but I'm going to take the first bit I made and I'm going to crochet that to one side, like so, and then do the same thing on the second side. So hopefully that will give me just that little bit of like drape underneath I was talking about. I'll be able to demonstrate better once this thing's actually assembled. And like I did with the box hammock here, I am going to also add in some of these like little loops just so I can easily attach it to the cage. So yesterday I finished off this bad boy here. It's really hard to give you a proper demonstration of all these pieces because they're so floppy. I might have to hang them up and take a quick video of that. Now, if I remember correctly, I did say before I started this piece that I wanted to make a couple of different hammocks. That still remains the case. That's still true. But I don't know if I'm going to crochet all of them in this video. For now, I do want to move on to the next accessory that I want to make, and that is a tunnel. Something else that I did yesterday was just, whip up these misshapen little wire circles. I was hoping in my junk pile I would have just circles of something that I could use for this next project that I'm going to make. I thought I did. I thought I had I don't know if they were book or folder binders or something, but if I still do have those, I just couldn't find them, so I had to DIY it. So that's why I've got sports tape on these, but for my purposes that's fine. And what I want to do with those is create some tunnels. So I've got a few colors that I'm going to be working with. I've got the reds, the purples, and I picked out the orange as well. When I first thought of making a couple of tunnels, I was going to do that, make just a couple of individual tunnels. But I've since changed my mind. And by that I mean I was struck by inspiration just as I sat down to record. But instead of doing several individual tunnels, I think I'm going to create a Y-shaped tunnel. So I'll still be doing 3 individual sections, but I'm going to join them together. And because I don't need these tunnels to be, any specific length, I'm just going to use up what yarn I had. So it looks like, just eyeballing this, that the purple is the yarn that I have the least on. So I'm probably going to start off with that. So let's get you over there. And like the previous things I've made, this isn't going to be anything complex. I might use double crochet to add the length to the tunnels, but the step before that is going to be to crochet around they really are kind of misshapen, and this wire that I've used is really quite sturdy. It's hard to bend, which is hopefully a good thing in the long run, but it's certainly made cutting it and shaping it more difficult than it needed to be, I think. But yeah, anyway, I need to single crochet around these first to create the base, and then double crochet from there. I actually think I might leave it there. These tunnels, I might have made these a little bit large. They turned out a little bit bigger or wider than I thought they were going to. But as I've said multiple times throughout this video, ferrets, no shits given. But yeah, I'm going to leave it there because I might come back in, and once I've used up the colors that I want to use, so the red and the orange, I might add in some of the scraps I have to those pieces just to A, use it up, but also B, make the tunnel sections a bit longer. So I'm going to leave a bit of yarn hanging there for now so I can come back in and do that easily. So I'm going to set you know what, you can just go on the pile. And now I'm going to use up the red to make my second section, if I can find the center pull. But on top of the yarn that I have here, so I've got the orange, which is going to be like the next tunnel section. I've got these bits of scrap. I do still have some white and a bit of dark brown to use up. So perhaps I can even put all of that into the tunnel rather than making a second hammock like I was going to. Because like, to level with you all, I do think the ferrets would enjoy a tunnel so much more than they would a hammock. So I finished off my 2 tunnel sections. There we go. And then I've got a longer, slightly narrower version here. The next step is going to be to join them together, but then continue the tunnel on. And to achieve that, I've grabbed out just the rest of the yarn that I want to use up. So I've got 2 skeins of the brown, a tiny little bit of black, and then some white. Although with the white, I only think I'm going to use a portion of it because I do have another project in mind that I would like to get around to eventually, for which this yarn might just come in handy. Something that I also want to do is put in one of my little rings that I've made in this middle section here, or what will be the middle section here, because I just want to give this area like a little bit of stability. The ends are going to be fairly sturdy thanks to the wire I've inserted, but because I don't know exactly how long like all this is going to make the third section of the tunnel, I'm thinking just a little bit of structure, stability in the center might be a good idea. And done. This thing has kind of gotten so long that it's a bit like unruly, and I twisted it all up as I was working on it. But you know what? First things first, let me weave in this end. In finishing this, all I now have left of the chunky yarn is like a little bit of black offcut I have here, which is going to go in with my scraps, and like the partial skein of white, which I will be hanging on to potentially use in that future project I was talking about earlier. But even if I don't end up using it, like I have significantly reduced my chunky yarn stash. My shelf over there is practically empty now. Room for more yarn, perhaps? No, that is literally the complete opposite of what I was trying to accomplish here today. So we have an empty shelf, a full roster of new ferret toys. So let me see how good a look I can get you of this, because it's pretty lengthy. So we got this section, the first section here, and then the smaller but wider purple section is kind of underneath it. And then we've got the long, darker brown and black section. Although I don't think it's fair to entirely call it a black section, because it was literally 2 rounds and one of them was joining in the ring. I really do think the ferrets are going to enjoy this one. They certainly love the tunnels that they currently have, so I don't see why they wouldn't enjoy what are we on now? A fourth one. But so there is this. Then there is the 2 hammocks. The second was more of like an open plan hammock, and then we've got the box variety, none of which are all that pretty. They're a bit of a chaotic mess in terms of like colors. Very little color coordination happening in this video, but like that wasn't the point of this. It was literally to use up. Although, like I say, there wasn't much color coordination. That's not too bad. Like, that doesn't look too bad. It's probably the best looking out of the bunch. I don't know. What do you think? This, like, I don't know how well it shows up on the camera. But again, this brown here, the one I've used predominantly in the box hammock, it's just got some weird greenish tinge to it that I do not like. So if it had been a different shade of brown, perhaps I would have liked this version a bit better, or at least the aesthetics of it a lot better. Yeah, Tilly just woke up and she's playing in her dry, pasta pool that I've got for her. Come here for a sec. Can you come here? I need you to demonstrate something for me. I was going to grab her, but she's gone back to sleep. That might be all I am crocheting today. Well, I say crocheting today, but it's taken me like a week to do all of this. That is all I might be crocheting in this video, but that does not mean I'm done with the ferret accessories, because as I was saying to you guys before I made this version of the hammock, there are other designs for hammocks and similar accessories that I would like to attempt. But if we do that at all, we're going to leave that for another video. What we won't leave for another video, well, I mean, we're still going to do it in another video, but you know what, that doesn't work as a segue. Moving on. And today's featured creator on the hookup is Andi, and she says, I'm 30 and just moved out of state for the first time with my husband and puppers to Idaho, and decided now was the time to start a YouTube channel, capturing decorating my house inside and outside for the holidays and sharing my craft and crochet projects and maybe gardening. That sounds like a lot of fun, and I hope it's going well. I'm always excited in the hookup segments when I read someone else's like starting the YouTube channel. I know how much like joy I get from mine, just creating videos and getting to share them with all of you. And it's my hope that, others get to experience that as well. So best of luck with the YouTube channel. If you would like to check it out for yourself, I will put a link down in the description. Also in the description is a link to the hookup form if you would like to apply for yourself. And that is pretty much where we're going to leave it today. I'm hoping I'll have time to like snag a few quick videos of the ferrets using their new accessories, but that's not going to happen if they sleep all the time, will it, Tilly? But also, this has taken quite a bit longer than I hoped it would, so I need to edit it and get this up, so it really just depends on time. Hopefully I can sneak some footage in here at the end. So thank you all for watching today. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Like the video if you enjoyed it, share it if you think it's worth sharing, and I will see you in the next one.